but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. It is Jodys here, Jodys there, and good evening to George, to Mitch, to Steve, to Stu, and to Kevin. I believe should be on his way as well, as we've got a full panel to discuss Newcastle United over the next hour. And don't forget, Ask George is part of this show. So if anybody wants to ask George a question halfway through, we tend to give the floor to George for five or 6 minutes. We can answer a few of your questions. Anyway, George, I'll start off with Matty Longstaff. Contract's up. He's out the door. For me, Matty Longstaff, when he made his debut, looked the more likely to be the star at Newcastle, but not the way it's worked out. Injury, obviously, saw Matty Longstaff end up sidelined. Club have looked after him, it has to be said. Sean Longstaff also had a bad injury, and of course both lads were bruised, if we remember. But with Sean Longstaff in particular, with Eddie Howe, the emergence has been, sensational. Maybe not on the Joe Linton standards, but he's certainly transformed into a player that we all thought he could be. A player that only a few years ago under Bruce and Ashley, Manchester United were willing to pay £20 million for, or certainly make an offer of £20 million for, when he hadn't really established himself in the team. So, Matty Longstaff, is it going to be good for him to get away? Do you think? And is it the right thing that the club have done?
I think absolutely right, because it's a long spell and the things he's gone through, etc. It actually going away could give him a lift. That's a surprising thing to say. New scenery, new colleagues, new trainers, and all the rest of it could actually give the lad a lift. It is sad, because I too thought that he was going to be the one that that was going to hit the top first. But in terms of Sean and influence of Eddie Howe, for me, Sean is still underrated by our fans. What I like about Sean at the moment is he gets the ball. His only thought is forward. He's not going to go back. He's not going to go sideways. He's going to go forward. And long time since we've had midfielders like that. I mean, we've had midfielders over the years that drove me crackers, like Parker, that always got the ball, went in a circle one way or the other. And people like that, where Sean's always forward. So it is sad about Matty. Club have done their duty. They've made sure that he's fit enough to have another career with somebody else. And good luck to the lad. And you never say never, but if he was to go away and turn out to be a sensation, the one thing that I'm pretty sure about, if he was that good, I don't think we'd hesitate about bringing him back. But I can't see that happening. But good luck to the lad. He's done his bit when he had the chance, and like so many, injuries, settled the issue for him, sadly. But he's young enough to make a new career, a new club, and a new effort to stay in the higher echelons of football and not just drop out, which would be terribly sad. But club's done a bit, and he's obviously worked hard to get fit as well. So all around it, but I do think it's the right solution for the club and for Matty.
Yeah, I mean, the club have looked after him, haven't they, Mitch? There's no doubt about that. And like your dad says, he's put the effort in to get back to fitness. And he goes with a blessing, certainly, of Dan Ashworth and Eddie Howe, both, giving him all the plaudits on his departure.
I think the club deserve fair praise for the amicable way they've dealt with it and said, look, you need support recovering from this injury. We will give you the support you need. And I think that's the club come out very well on that. The thing that surprised me about Matty was when he was given the loan chances, he just didn't seem to grasp it. He just didn't seem to be able to say, right, I'm going to take this opportunity to get some first team football, make a name for myself, make sure that the club know I'm still alive, and come back, to the squad, looking for opportunities, and it just never seemed to happen. Be that because of him picking up injury again, and timing of his injuries has been cruel. There's no doubt about that. And so he probably does deserve a chance with a clean slate somewhere. Maybe he's under the radar a little bit to go and rebuild his career. And so you say thank you for that. I think we all know how very badly the Longstaff family were treated by Steve Bruce. And I think that's fair to say that left unresolved would be a stain on the club. And the club have done everything they can to make sure that Matty gets the support he needs, whilst his brother is going from strength to strength in the first team. It's a shame that they're both not, because the potential seemed to be there for both of them. But now it's definitely been decided that Matty is to be moved on. Then he goes with good grace and support in every way, shape and form you could give it.
Yeah, going to be tough, isn't it, Kevin? For Sean. I mean, football's football, though. These things happen, and will be tough for him to see his brother go.
Like you said, football, and like Mitch has just alluded to, the club have done what they had to do to get him back into full fitness. I'm not sure if his rehab's fully done, but it seems like I haven't heard of the story, so I'm just going on what you guys are saying in terms of get him to a certain point of recovery and rehab, and enough to where they can move him on out with a bit of grace and a bit of thanks very much, and go and build a career. And I think the loans wherever he's went probably didn't help him of the standard of the football that he probably played at. I mean, it's kick anything above grass type of level, like the Tramiers of the world. That's what happened to Emil Kraft, and they just kicked the snot out of you, So again, it's a learning curve for him to deal with that, and he unfortunately had a major knee injury. So it's unfortunate for the lad. He's a local one, and I think Sean was trying his utmost to try and keep him around as long as possible within what had happened. But as a club, we send him on with best wishes, and he'll always be remembered for that one strike against Man United, and he'll be always remembered for that. And but yeah, it's just disappointing for him. Not really much else to comment, and I just hope he builds his career in the right way and moves on, and not be falling into a depressive state and get in that part of the mental health world of outside of the boyhood club. I've got no future anymore, but there will be a future for him in the game if he finds the right club. Yeah,
and Matty Longstaff, our lead. I mean, he's not somebody who's featured a great deal in the team, but from our perspective, he's a Geordie lad. I guess we just wish him well. We hope he gets a good club, and he can rebuild his career elsewhere.
Well, yeah, Matty is a really great player, and as I remember, last game for him was against Liverpool, Christmas time, and it was 0-0. And I think he did great that game, but I didn't know what behind the scene. I remember when I tried to sneak on some training, I noticed that Matty Longstaff wasn't on the training separately with I believe Fraser, maybe, if I recall that's right. So it's obviously it's not in the he will not be in the first squad, and it's sad that as he's a Geordie lad to leave the club, but this is expected. If it's not this season, the next season or the coming season, and some of the players also, they will have the same situation. It's just sad also. It's that the players who are leaving, who is injured, and I think this is quite sad, but this is football. So I wish him all the best.
Yeah, I think we all do, Steve, don't we? We just want to see him do well. I mean, he made his debut, of course, alongside Sean when Newcastle played Manchester United way back in 2019. But he's looking for a new club now.
Yeah, absolutely. And the injury has really, really stifled him, hasn't it? Serious injury as well, by the way. You look at the lads I mentioned loans. I mean, you look at Sean. Sean went to Kilmarnock and he played 16 games. He was actually under Lee Clark, I believe, if my memory serves me right. That says an awful lot about the fact that he's up there. He then went to Blackpool and he had 42 games at Blackpool. Unlike Matty, who went to Aberdeen and played 5, went to Mansfield and played 11, and went to Colchester and played 7. So, you know, there's a story in that. There's a story in whoever was managing him. And when I say managing, I mean managing his loan period when he was away from the club. And if you remember, Newcastle didn't have anyone really looking after players. They seemed to push them out the door at a certain point. And then it was a case of, you know, we'll give you a call now and again. Shola took over the reins, and I don't know what Shola's influence was in Matty's time at Mansfield and at Colchester. I don't know how he got him the role there. But obviously, you look back at Sean's, and Sean was totally different. 42 games, but it was during the Rafa Benitez era when Rafa was manager. And maybe that says an awful lot about how the players allowed their careers to mature when they were away. Who knows? But I like both of them. I agree with something that you said right at the outset, Steve. I thought Matty had more potential than Sean, but it just shows you that little bit of maturity, if you like, age and opportunity. And I think opportunity with young footballers, you get the break or you don't get the break. You know, you come across a brick wall with a manager who perhaps doesn't rate you, or you get brought on by a manager or a coach who thinks very highly of you or wants to progress your career with you. And if you blend in, it works great. If it doesn't, then you can have a reaction. So I wish Sean Matty all the best. Met him at Wembley, if you remember. In the street before the cup final, he had a brace on and he was hobbling around, but he was just a black and white. He was just a fan. He was out there, you know, just soaking up the atmosphere outside Wembley, as the rest of us were, or some of us were trying to anyway. Some of us were so nervous we couldn't soak up the energy, if you remember. But no, I mean, wish Matty all the best, and hope that Newcastle as a club are learning from what's happened to Matty. Both with injuries, recuperation, and loans that they send the youngsters out on. Because if we're going to have a big squad and we're going to try and develop the youngsters, then certainly that's going to become an even more important fixture at the football club.
Yeah, it's you know, it's sad to see one of your own go, Stu.
Well, it is, but at the end of the day, I think we can't be swayed emotionally because he's a local lad, and he's not going to be the first or the last local lad who hasn't quite just made it. And we all had huge and high hopes for him and aspirations for him because of that debut we had against Man United. But he'll find his own way. You know, he's obviously got talent, and we can point the fingers at Steve Bruce or injuries or a culmination of many things. But we've moved on as a club, and he genuinely or realistically doesn't have the talent to be part of that first team pool anymore. As sad as that may sound, that's the top and bottom of it. And so there will be casualties. We know he's not at the level required, but saying that, it sounds like I'm being a bit cutthroat with the lad. I wish him every success in his new venture, and I'm sure he'll be a huge addition, not just what he does on the pitch, but his personality off the pitch within the squad and everything else going forward. It'll be interesting to see which club picks him up because of his injuries. I think someone else is going to have to take the punt on him. But had it been the same question as he said 4 years ago when he made his debut, he would have a host of clubs, mostly I would say bottom half of the Premier League, top half of the Championship, that would be vying for his signature. Now he may have to go backwards to go forwards, but he certainly does have the ability as long as his injuries haven't affected that much. And I really hope he comes good. And I think he will. He seems to be a determined lad. And like you say, the natural ability should shine through for him. Shine through, not shine through. Shine through for him. So I hope he does really well, but he's not going to be in our squad anytime in the near future.
Okay, just going to read this out. Mick Millian says, big thank you for discussing my mate Dave's season ticket issue on Sunday's show. Along with some emails, the box office finally accepted his application and now has his ticket for next season. Yeah, been a few issues with the tickets, which we did discuss on the professional show. My brother is without his Champions League tickets, which is absolutely crazy. So I've had to put an email in, on behalf of him. Because I'm like, seems to be like the lead account holder. There are so many glitches in the ticket system. It is a bit of a mess. And apparently there was a lot of people queuing up at St. James's Park, disgruntled people trying to get to the box office to have conversations about that. And to see that, like I said the other day, to see them almost now talking about discussing away tickets and, emails coming out about that. Get the home tickets sorted out first before you start messing around with that as well and causing more chaos. But anyone else has had any issues with tickets, do what I told Dave to do, which was email supporterservices@nufc.co.uk. They are the people who, if the box office can't help you or won't help you, depending on who you speak to, of course, at the box office, then get on to supporter services. That's what they're there for. The email that bounces back to you tells you that they'll be back in touch with you within 5 days. So far, so good. Supporter services are doing their job properly. But, if you've got any problems, that's the people to email. Okay, let's go to this and start with you, Stu. Ryan Yates says, question for the lads. With the likes of Aston Villa and Brighton continuing to strengthen, does the big six look more like the big nine? Will the extra competition slow us down? Great question, Ryan.
I think it'll slow everyone down, won't it? If all the teams are improving, then not everyone can win the games. So it becomes a dog-eat-dog scenario. And thankfully, we've got the financial power, the might. We're a force of nature at the moment. Competition's good. You don't want it to become like the Scottish League or the French League or the German League, when invariably you can pick the winner before a ball started. And the way Man City are going at the moment, it could well be much like that in the English League for the foreseeable future. So people are going to have to come out the pack, but football is very, I'm going to say this wrong, cyclic. Did I say that right, Steve?
Did I?
Thank you. One of the versions were right anyway. But it is, and you even Man City with all their ultimate power, you think it's never going to end. But we thought that about Liverpool in the past. We thought about that about Man United in the past. Guardiola's not going to stay there forever. The one who makes them tick more than anyone else is De Bruyne, and he's the other side of 30 now. I believe we have the momentum, we have the force. But is it a big 9? No, it should be a big 20. What's been very good last season, I believe, because the league to me had become stale with this so-called big six being forced down people's throat by most sections of the media, where there were 6 teams vying for European places in the pecking order and 14 teams just vying to stay in the league. Now, other teams like Brighton have proved if you get your model right, you can challenge. They might not be able to do it every year, but you can come out the pack. So the Leicester one-off may happen again more often, or definitely the top 6 positions or 7 positions for Europe are a lot more competitive than they have been recently. Because I think if West Ham got qualified for Europe through the league position this year, don't think many people would be surprised with that. They've got a great amount of money in for Declan Rice. They're on a crest of a wave after winning a European trophy. So if they spend wisely, they could very easily be up there challenging. I'd like to think the top 5 from last season would be the top 5 for next season. Then you've got Chelsea. Everyone expects them to come back, myself included. Aston Villa, they're on a bit of a push at the moment. So to me, there's probably about 10, 11 teams that can all stake claims for saying we're going to finish in Europe this season or have expectancy to. Where in the past, there was only the 6 that you could say, yeah, they're getting into Europe. And the one might come out of the pack like Wolves or Leicester occasionally. But now, the more competitive it is, the better it is, because it gives every team more chance. And I look at it from a Newcastle perspective. If, for example, Liverpool are going to Aston Villa, it's not a give me 3 points. If Man United are travelling to West Ham, it's not a give me 3 points. If Arsenal are going to Brighton, it's not a give me 3 points. So that just makes the league better. So what's happened recently, and we've been at the fore of it, thankfully, is it's made the league more exciting and it's made the league more watchable.
No doubt about that, Steve.
Absolutely. But you know what? Every week that there's a game played, there's plenty of bubbles to be burst. Plenty of teams out there that can burst those bubbles, and I'm not talking about West Ham either, Stu. I'm talking about bubbles, but there is everybody out there is now capable of taking points off teams above them as well as below them, and that's the good thing. And I think a lot of it is going to rest on, well, it's going to be a combination of things: how the new signings that each club is bringing in blend in, and how the managers work with those new signings. I mean, somebody just put up there that Aston Villa have bought Torres, Pau Torres, getting on a bit. But obviously, a Spaniard with a Spanish manager, he's looking for a leader. He's looking for someone of that ilk. Whether that comes off, whether that's the right thing for Aston Villa, we'll soon find out. But you've got other clubs there knocking around. Again, you look at Liverpool. Made some great signings last season, I thought. And really struggled. He couldn't get that blend in the midfield correct, and he couldn't keep them up. He couldn't keep them fit. And I know that there was that break in for the World Cup, but other teams managed to survive it. But straight away that was the excuse that he's using. I think there are some managers skating on thin ice because of the amount of money that's been spent, and I think it all plays into the beginning of August and the Premier League kicking off again, and that's what we're all excited about. And I think of all the clubs sitting there at the top, I think Newcastle United are probably the steadiest. I think we're the ones that from a confidence position are very, very happy with where we are. At Man City, there's nobody coming in yet. They've lost quite a few star players. I know that they've done the treble, but are they going to be still partying? Is Grealish ever going to get sober? These are all the questions that people are going to start to ask. And then you've got to look at clubs that were languishing towards the bottom, who you're thinking, you know what, they shouldn't be there. But will they struggle? So I'm just looking forward to the season. My main concentration now is going to be on Newcastle United, as it always is, and it always will be. But I don't want to be looking over my shoulder. So unless I'm looking over my shoulder and I'm laughing at the rest below.
Al-Walid, is it a big 9 now? Is there more teams to be fearful of? I mean, Mitrovic potentially could be going to Saudi Arabia, so that's going to mean that Fulham are going to be looking for a striker. But Brentford, of course, somebody's just pointed out in the chat that Ivan Toney will be suspended up until January. They were another team that were, knocking on the door last season. And of course, Brighton, who have this, system where they bring players through the academy, feed them into the first team, but then sell them for a profit, because that's what they've got to do. Very similar to Southampton, and Bournemouth, I guess, back in the day. But is there more competition at the top of the table, Al-Walid?
For me, I still see it as a big 6, and Tottenham exclude out and Newcastle come in.
Okay,
this is how I see it. The other team, they will be below the 6th position, like Aston Villa and West Ham or Brighton. They try their maximum with signing and stuff, and Newcastle still didn't reach the minimum. So I'm not worried. If we compare also, even the down, the bottom 6, also they become very more difficult than before. If I compare the players, they have high quality players, so it's going to be difficult. My worry actually is the Champions League. We didn't have, I think, still enough players to play perfectly 2 games per week. We need more signings so we can really play in a week, win in the Premier League and win in the Champions League. We don't want become exhausted and we lose points because we give our best at the Champions League.
Okay, Kevin, big 9, big 8, big 7. What is that?
It's the Premier League, so it should be like Stu said. It should be 20. But football's football, right? And it doesn't work like that. Money talks. So I'm not weary of the Villas and the Brightons. They're doing a fantastic job in their own right and what they do. And from a financial standpoint, from a structural, everything around their football club. I don't really like Villa, but that is what it is. But it seems like they've got the feet on the ground and foundations in place where they can actually grow again to where they were back in the day a little bit, which is great. I mean, that's what we're wanting to see as football fans. And but I don't see it as a big 9. Obviously teams are going to fall off. Teams are going to come back into the fray further down into in the cyclical world, as you lovely put it earlier. Eventually. So when it just revolves, just evolves every season. You never know what's going to happen. And again, it's not a big 6, but not a big 9. It's a big 6, maybe a 7, 6.5, we'll call it. But I think if we just worry about us, don't worry about anybody else, do what we do, and let's from what's been coming out of the club, which seems like, and like I mentioned last week, in terms of the fitness programs and all that sort of thing, it seems like we'll come back fitter, stronger, mentally better, in the understanding of what we have to do. I don't care what Villa are doing. Yeah, they might sign fantastic players. However, there could be a flop. There could be. I mean, not saying Tonali's going to be one, but it could. It's risk. It's a game of dice. You just what you roll and what you do is what you get. But the trust that I have personally in Eddie Howe and how he approaches things and the whole staff, I don't think he'll let that happen. And so, again, I'm not worried about anybody else within the Premier League. Man City can do their thing. They were the best team in Europe, obviously one of the best teams in the world. So you're going to expect them to go again. Are Chelsea going to follow suit? How are they going to cope? How are they going to cope with Pochettino's methods? How are Tottenham going to cope with their new coach? And it seems like a bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? An interesting character. Let's just say that. I don't know. I can't put a kind of phrase on him. I don't know too much about him. But again, how are they going to react to their process and their methods of play? And and I think, but for me, I think Brighton are going to be the one who are going to follow suit like us, like we did last year. I just think the way they play. I think the coach is. I think he's a top coach. I think he gets the best out of his players, and we beat them. What was it? I think we beat them or whatever. But yeah, I think Brighton are going to be the team to watch a little bit, because I think they've got their structure in place. But unfortunately for them, we've got the guy who's done that. So it's going to be an interesting season. I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it. I can't wait to see that ball rolling whenever it is in August.
Yeah, well, you'll see it a lot earlier, of course, across in Atlanta. But Mitch, top 6, top 7. How do you see it? I mean, Stu saying all 20. It is more of a competitive league. It has to be said, because anybody can beat anybody on its day.
I think the lads have tackled this very eloquently, so I think I won't. I'm going to be a little bit more to the point. This whole concept, the top 9, the first place I saw this come out of this week was from one of these bloody awful talking head YouTube accounts. The section of the population who used to eat the wrong berries or get eaten by saber-toothed tigers. Now they get given a platform and a load of morons to clap along to whatever shit comes out of their mouth. They're like the shock jocks of the 80s and the alternative comedians, the bad ones of the 90s. They come out with any old drivel, and there'll be a little audience clapping along using words like blood and farm every 5 fucking minutes. I'm sorry, I can't be having it. Football's always been about competing, and about competing top to bottom in the best league. Big 6, big 9, whatever. Why should it matter to us? I also feel within this there's a little bit of angst creeping back in. People starting to wet the bed again. Is the transfer window shut? Is it closed now? Are we shut for business?
Currently.
Are we going to be continuing to do the business that the manager wants? The people at the top of the club, the people we should have faith in, should just be allowed to get on and do their business and get in who we're going to get in. And again, we'll worry, like everybody said, about Newcastle United, and let them worry about us. That's what we should be focusing on and delivering the best that we can. We've set ourselves a very high bar. And yes, we've got Champions League to contend with as well. And these are all big things. These are not new things for the club, but they're new things for this group. And we've got to really genuinely back it all up, you know. And I've got faith that the people involved will back it all up. I think we just need to relax and enjoy the journey a little bit more. And we've got so many other little things that we should be focusing on as fans. I mean, like we've touched very, very, very briefly on ticketing again. Getting ticketing right is something that's fundamental. It's not something that would be nice to have right. Like, you know, getting ticketing right is absolutely fundamental. And these are the things we should be focusing on and not worrying about Big Six, Big Nine, or whoever Aston Villa's signing, and whether we have or haven't been linked to the players that other people are interested in. I've seen some of our fans saying, "Oh, we're identifying targets, and other teams are diving in and getting them." Believe you me, if we wanted those players and the deal was right for us, it would have been done. It's as simple as that. And if you just have to look at how Tonali was done, and I think that's the way ahead, is just try and enjoy the journey a bit more. We've got Champions League coming up. We've got a really exciting Premier League season coming up. And when there's other stronger teams there, like again the lads have touched on, Liverpool going to Aston Villa isn't an easy 3 points. You know, it just isn't. Spurs going to Brentford isn't an easy 3 points. And there's these teams, everybody's evolving and everybody's getting better. We just have to evolve bigger. And we have the backing to be bigger than anybody. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Junior says, I think we need another Mitch morning coffee video on the channel. I think he's just spent it all there in that little rant. George, do you agree with your son?
That's my boy.
He needs to say what he thinks more often, George. That's the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I mean, I've got to say, yeah, it's. I'm like you, Steve. I like Steve here. So all I'm worried about is Newcastle United. The others can do what the devil are like. They've got to beat us. That's where I want to be. And that's where I want to be. And they'll struggle. I'm convinced that they'll struggle. And quietly getting the lads in and new lads in and part of the squad. I was very encouraged at the stuff that's been coming out the training ground since they went back about the number of players that have turned up fitter than they were when they went away, which is incredible. You know, it really says a lot about how they've taken to what instructions they were given when they went off on holiday and so on. As regards other teams, the big disappointment for me at the moment, somebody's mentioned him, Jack Grealish should be ashamed of himself. Here's the top player, great skill, absolutely got the world at his feet. And what's he done since they won the European Cup? He's been drunk in Ibiza for nearly 2 bloody weeks. And it's out on the press. What example does that give to young kids who are aspiring to get something out of this game of ours? It's just hopeless. And if that's the standard he's setting, well, Manchester City aren't going to find it that easy this season. But I'm just worried about Newcastle United. Let's make them follow us instead of the other way around for a change. And like everybody, like Neil said and others have said, let's enjoy it. It hasn't been like this for a long time, and I can use long time in lots of ways. But yeah, let's enjoy it.
Yeah, well said, George. Okay, slightly over halfway through the show, but here's the ads. Big thanks to all our sponsors. Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website skipsandbins.com. Easy contract free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks also to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. If you want to order some, then you can go to their website, mrvickies.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks also to New Workwear. They were set up in 2018 and they are an agile and dedicated workwear provider. You can find them at their website, newworkwear.com. Thanks to Media Arts as well for all the help with the video side of things. If you want to subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button under this video. Hit the thumb up to like the video and click share to share to your other social media. We're also available as a podcast on your podcast providers such as iTunes and Spotify. If you'd like to take out a cult membership, which means you get a cup, a pen, a membership card, a scarf, and entry into the monthly draw, and put your smartphone over this QR code now. It'll take you straight to the site. You can set up and pay a one-off fee of £25. Alternatively, go to NUFCmatters.com and check for membership. If you're a subscriber, you can apply for a free car sticker. Just email john@nufcmatters.com to claim yours today. The new Shearer raffle is up and running. 150 tickets, £1 a ticket to win a limited edition Alan Shearer signed ball. Enter now at nufcmatters.com. We've got a couple of events coming up. Newcastle United question and answer live with Liam Kennedy, Jordan Cronin and Dominic Skerr from Newcastle World and the Shields Gazette in association with NUFC Matters takes place at the Tyneside Irish Centre 11th of August at 7 p.m. and tickets are £5. The Christmas event will be with Frank Clark and John Gibson Thursday, December the 7th at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets are £15 from nufcmatters.com. And Waddle, Keegan and Beardsley, the class of 84 with special guests, takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House on Westcott Road in Newcastle on Thursday, January the 25th. Tickets are available direct from the theatre, 0844 24 91 000, or go to the website for further details. And don't forget, starting on the 7th of August, you will be able to hear myself, Steve Wraith, on the Northeast Footy Breakfast. This comes to you in association with the Tyne Radio, 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock, 5 days a week. Check out the Facebook for more details. Okay, as always, on Jodys Here, Jodys There, it is time to ask George. Now, I hope that's not somebody ringing George direct to try and ask George. Is it?
Sounds like it.
George, I can't believe it.
I've been answering questions all day anyway, but never mind. Let's get on with it.
Go, George. A proper question for George.
It's gone.
Which journalist or person would you like Neil to do some work on?
Dental work.
Yeah, well, there's a queue, isn't there? Sometimes it's Hope, and sometimes it's a couple of the others. So he can take his pick as far as I'm concerned. What bothers me is that they trot out all this stuff, and I read it and I digest what I can, and then I come onto one of our platforms, and the lads are putting the stuff out for them. You know, it's almost as though they watch this and then they go away and print their stories. It's just ridiculous. So take your pick, but Hope would be top of my list.
Okay, Councillor Spenny says, question for George. As your experience as a long life supporter, have you ever seen a Newcastle manager change the football side of things like Eddie has in a short space of time? Good question.
Yes. I've got to go back to when I was at the club, Spenny, because we've got a manager from South America called Charlie Minton, ex-Manchester United player who went to the World Cup with England and didn't come back, just stayed there and coached in South America, and eventually came back, and he came back as our manager. And from top to bottom, he did everything. Well, I think I've spoken on here before about it. He even redesigned the strip. If you have a look at the strip that some of the lads in the 60s are wearing with the black and white stripes, tops on the stockings, that whole strip, which isn't too different to the one we've got now, actually the V-neck and all that, was designed by Minton himself, and he went out and got the thing altered. Everything we did, everybody from the first team to the, I mean, I'm talking about, you know, where the first division team, Central League team, a team in the Northern Alliance was the A team, B team in the Northern Combination. We had the ends in the Northern Intermediate League, and we had the juniors in the Newcastle District League. And Minton insisted that they all played the same style of football, that when they took a throw-in, they all took throw-ins in the same way. And if he found out you weren't, he would turn up and tear everybody off a strip, particularly the coaches. So yeah, he turned the club upside down, all right. The sad thing is that I think he was before his time. He was before his time, and might have done better a little bit later. But yeah, it was just like a whirlwind in the club, you know, from top to bottom.
Diamond Tints.
Steve, have you seen John Allen's message in the chat there?
No, because I'm busy going through George's questions. I will come to it. Question.
He said it was Jack Grealish rigging George from Ibiza.
Oh God! As long as it wasn't Hugh Edwards.
Well, he can ring us. I'll tell him.
What was the main reason for the Entertainers losing the league, George?
Oh, the psychological pressure that Ferguson put on Keegan. I'm afraid I can't get away from that. You know, when he got to that "I love it" speech. That's when most were beat, I'm afraid. It's sad, but that, you know, that's from my point of view. Is the pressure got to Kevin, I'm afraid.
That's what people want. Barry says, who would you say was the better keeper, Willie McFall or Shea Given?
Oh, Shea Given, without a shadow of a doubt. Two nice Irish lads. Willie McFall, I had the pleasure of occasionally playing with when he first came to St James's Park. Nice lad, good goalkeeper, but Shea was just that step above. Shea was the next level above to Willie McFall. But two nice lads.
Okay, thanks for your questions. We'll have more of that next week. Okay, we sometimes get one of these questions from people in the chat. Across the board, lads, St. Maximin, stay or go? I don't want to drag this one out. We've spoken about ASM for quite a while on this show. George, Maximin, stay or go?
Almost irrelevant to me. If he stays, that's great. But if he goes, we'll get a lot of money for him. Well, that's good as well. Incidentally, I see that question, if I'm reading it right, from Junior Turner. Can I give Junior a shout, because he's got a new piece of music coming out shortly, so keep your eyes open for it, lads.
Yep, will do. Mitch, stay or go?
Heart says stay, head says go.
Okay, Kevin?
Stay.
Al-Walid?
Stay.
Stu, still go?
Masalama, sayonara, adios, ciao, bye for now, close the door behind you.
Steve?
We're talking about a fit Maxi or an unfit Maxi. I think primarily he's always unfit. He certainly was last season. Go.
All right. Barry just wants to know, are the club still continuing their support for the food bank as well, Steve?
I haven't heard anything. We've got a meeting with the club tomorrow, actually. Funny you should say that.
Feed it into the Migos on Friday, then.
Club, it's Jamie Rubin who backs the food bank in terms of it's the Rubin Foundation that Jamie set up. So, but we'll hear. I'm sure we'll be hearing from Jamie in the not too distant future, certainly before the start of the season.
Yeah. Okay, Steve, you can start with this one. Michael just wants a quick one-word answer. Where will we finish next season? We will do this, of course, when we do a season. Look ahead to the season a little bit closer to the big kickoff, but just a quick answer on this one. Where do you think we'll finish this season at this moment in time? Third. Okay, Stu.
Twofold. As we stand, I would say fifth. With the signings that I think we'll bring in, I'll say second.
Second. Okay. Al-Walid.
Fifth.
Fifth. Okay. Kevin.
Third or fourth, but I'm leaning with Steve with third. I think we'll go one better.
Third. Okay, Mitch.
Top four.
Top four. Okay, George.
Second.
Second. Okay, I'm going to go third. Yeah, I'm going to go third. I think we'll go one better, which would be fantastic, to be honest. But yeah, good question. Lots of things coming in. I'm going to keep anything about tickets and stuff maybe for Friday. We'll have a little chat about it pre pre-match on Friday. We'll discuss it and see whether we're delving into tickets again. But it's such a contentious issue. Michael says, I had to go to the box office yesterday for Seller Cup tickets. It's a joke. I was told it's a different app to season tickets, so they wouldn't take payments. Loads of people in the queue wanting the same thing. There was another point that somebody just put up there. Here we go. Mandy Pyle, I've been trying to buy the 2-day event at St. James's Park. I've been on the phone. I've been put on hold for over an hour. No one answering the phone, and going on the website, it will not let me buy any tickets. It's an absolute, honestly, it's a nightmare, folks. It really is. Support our services at nufc.co.uk. Get onto them. Email that address. That's your point of call, because I honestly, the people in the box office are dealing with a system which clearly isn't working, and they're like the proverbial boy with a thumb in the wall, and there's more little breaches coming as that person's trying to plug the gap.
Is it amazing for a business to be in a position where they're turning cash away? It's just ridiculous. It's balmy.
Yeah. Kenny, I haven't seen anything about that, but I'm sure we will hear about that if that is the case, if they are doing something like that. Maybe that's it. No Tune Radio is not mine, Junior. It is not mine, no. Yeah, go on. Were you going to say something, Mitch? Sorry, pal.
Yeah, I was going to say I'd heard that they're going to rate Steve Wraith as a Boltorian nonce on the seat. So.
Well, it probably would do, yes. At least it would feature on Troll of the Week. That would be it. Okay, let's
imagine the club being Troll of the Week.
Oh my God. It wouldn't surprise us the way mine looks from this year. Barry Hogan says, hi lads, who would you go for next if Barnes is almost done? I want a left back. Okay, George, let's go with this one. Who would you want in next? I mean, Barnes is a strange one. Seems to be a lot of noise around it. Seems very positive noise. But we've seen that about James Madison.
You lads will recall it for quite a while now. I've been saying, even when we're after Madison, that I would be going for Harvey Barnes. So if that happens, I'd be delighted. And if we're going to get a left back, I've got to be with Stu's corner. You'd be hard pushed to find a better one than Tierney. If we're going to get one, well, let's get him. But I'm not crashed about that, because I still think with the combination of Matty Targett and Dan Byrne, we can cover that spot. But Tierney, if you want a real left back, pace, cross the ball, that's Tierney. It's written. The script's written for him.
Stu smiling already. Mitch?
I would like to say we'll go for a real right-hand sided Rolls Royce of a centre-back to pair in the long term with a Rolls Royce of a left-sided centre-back, and say there's the core of our defence and the foundation of our team for the next 5 years. And you have them ready to use sensibly around Shea, and use Shea more reservedly for certain games, because he seemed to have his bell rung umpteen million times last season, and I don't fancy watching a player get that level of head injuries again and again. He's too brave for his own good sometimes. But also we need a succession plan, and I think that would be, for me, that's where I would target next.
Okay, Kevin?
Agree with Mitch. However, I think we need a young centre forward, another one. Just with the Callum Wilson injury record that he has, with the amount of games that we do have, it could be interesting just as playing the Champions League, playing the FA Cup, so there's somebody like a filler in, but a quality. It's got to be a quality centre forward. It can't be just somebody just saying to go buy somebody. But I think a right-sided centre half and a striker.
I've heard there's a young lad at Paris called Eki something or other.
Can't get a game.
Yeah, he can't get a game. Apparently he was there the other day. No, that chip sales, Mitch, you know that.
Okay, Al-Walid.
We need still priority is the creative midfielder. And for the left back, I could say DiMarco. He's a great player. But I think DiMarco. But I think Tierney will be a reliable choice.
Yeah, okay. A lot of people saying, what about right back? What if Trippier gets injured? Stu?
But I've watched Newcastle for 40 years. George can nearly double that. And who am I to disagree with the elder statesman of the Newcastle United supporters groups? And I totally have to agree with his call for Kieran.
Okay, Steve.
Well, Stewie was the first man in the Northeast who linked Newcastle United with Tierney. So we'll not let people forget that one. But for me, a striker, I'm in the camp of needing a striker. And if I was going to go, I'll stick with my original choice, which is Vlahovic from Juve. That's the sort of striker I would like to see Newcastle come out with. That's a statement signing. And he's got everything for me. Strong, young, experienced, knows where the back of the net is. And I would love to see us go for someone like that.
Okay, yeah.
You're talking about left back. We've got Paul Dummett. Away, lads. Don't forget Paul.
Yeah.
A lot of people talking about the game, of course, at the weekend against Gateshead. It is being streamed. Dom says $9.99 to watch a stream of the Gateshead match. Seems high to me. I think the problem is that the game is going to be screened on National League TV. Yeah. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think National League TV means that you're not just going to be subscribing for the $9.99 for that game. You'll probably get a few other games. I don't know what the cost of it is, and I'm on the website now trying to see whether that's for. Is that for one game? Is it, or is that for?
Is that a monthly subscription? Because I think that sounds very like the subscription that Championship and below teams have when they can watch their teams.
This match pass gives access to Gateshead's friendly with Newcastle United on Saturday, the 15th of July only.
Wow.
What?
$9.99 for that game. What do you make of that?
Then somebody behind the streaming service of that has seen an opportunity, I think is the words.
Wow. $9.99 to watch Gateshead's team against Newcastle's probably a few juniors, maybe one or two, players who used to play for Newcastle. George,
if you ask them nicely, they might sell you some pegs.
Yeah, I think they probably will.
What does the $9.99 go though? Does the $9.99 go to Gateshead? Do Gateshead get a cut of it?
It's National League TV. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't say anything.
Gateshead must get a cut of it. So if Gateshead a cut of the $9.99, then let's say we're giving £4, £5 to Gateshead. That's a financial lifeline for Gateshead. The game itself is a financial lifeline for Gateshead. But if there's money going to Gateshead as well from the TV stream, especially if it's a one-off, and that this is one of the things that I think the guys at Wrexham exploited last season. In terms of the demand was there, and that. Well, Gateshead aren't going to get anywhere near like 12 or 15,000 for a game this season. So the demand's there. I hope that people do take it up if Gateshead are getting the money. Let's hope somebody can find out for us by Friday when we do the Amigos. Let's put the call out.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to think that Gateshead were getting something out of it, and that would ameliorate the shock of the cost. But even so, they're going to get that game, and then they've got another one with our near neighbours as well, haven't they? The difference being is that our near neighbours can't sell the tickets that we can. That's a lot of money. But as Steve's absolutely right. If Gateshead get a good bit of that, then they would get my money.
Yeah, it's a good idea that, George, actually. I agree with you. Kevin, thoughts? I mean, $9.99, I think John in the chat made a good point as well. If you're an expat, like you are, like Mitch is, at least you're getting an option to watch this.
Well, there's ways and means to
watch it. Yes, and there are, yes.
But if there was no other means, then I would pay that $9.99. Excluding exchange rate and all the rest of it. If it would go to Gateshead, like Steve and George have said, I would quite happily pay that because I was part of Gateshead Football Club when I was a young and I played for them and the reserves and this and that. And so it's a bit of, and it's across the river. It's a local team to us, whatever. So yeah, if there's no ways and means, yeah, I will be, depending on what I've got going on in my coaching world. But yeah, I would. I mean, if it goes to them fully, I'm sure the National League might take a little extra from a little bit from them. But if the majority goes to Gateshead and for their financial future, absolutely.
Yeah, well done, Adam Pearson. Most of you will know him. He's been on this channel before. We followed him with interest. He's certainly a young podcaster for the younger supporters in our fan base. He's got a press pass, bless him. So good luck to him. He's gives him an opportunity to do a few interviews behind the scenes.
He's come to Atlanta this week for the game, and he's going to be all over the United States doing that as well. So he's
good luck to him. The kid puts the miles in, and he's a grafter, and you take your hat off to him. He may not be everyone's cup of tea. Well, that's it.
I know, right? You've got to have one of them.
Better keep quiet about what he's going to be doing over there, otherwise they'll be having him with a work permit.
I'll get a picture and see what happens.
Good luck to him. Good luck to him. Al-Walid, your views. I mean, $9.99. It's not it's not a fortune for people abroad, but like Kevin's already pointed out, there's other ways of getting a stream, I guess.
Is it also work overseas?
Yeah, well, I think it probably will. I'm not sure, but I'm sure you'll be able to get a version of it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I remember when we do Match Day Live during the epidemic. We watched some Carabao Cup, and it was about this. It was about the same price, and I think it's good opportunity. For here, and even if we go to coffee shop to watch the game, we're gonna pay the same for watch the game. So
yeah, just to confirm, Spenny's put 6p every stream, but Lee Marshall from Newcastle United is who does the comms at the club. He says, to clarify, Newcastle United won't be taking a share of streaming revenue or gate receipts this weekend. By purchasing a ticket or live stream, you'll be helping our neighbours Gateshead Football Club. So quick response from Lee Marshall. Well done. Well done. Stu, great that then, isn't it? Great to hear that the money is going to Gateshead.
Well, if the money does go to Gateshead, yes, but if what Spenny's just said there, 6 pence, to me, it's exploitation of the demand to watch Newcastle. And I know Al-Walid said it's like a Carabao Cup game, but it's not. This is a friendly. The lads have been training for like 5 days. So it's all intents and purposes a kickabout. And if we're in a period of austerity or, the people are pushing things hard, to me, it's wrong to charge $9.99 for friendly. If Gateshead get it, then fine. But is it National League TV, as in the National League that's running it, or is it a TV company called National League TV?
National League TV.
But is that the name of the company, or is that actually the National League's own TV channel?
It's the National League's TV channel.
Right.
Well, apparently, Stu,
I still think it's wrong. I think
the money it's the National League, it's the North and the South leagues as well, and the money gets split 70-30 as a big pot.
Right.
And what they do is they say that it works out on average that a club gets 6p a stream for every stream, and it's totted up through the season. And so that's the way they do it. But the National League the main National League gets 70%, and the rest of it's split with the other leagues that are part of the National League, the South and the North, which are the ones below. And then they're the only ones that run their own streaming service. So it sounds like, as their Spenny's put on, it sounds like it's quite a money spinner for those clubs at that level of the league. And I was listening to an article just the other day that said that compared to the second division, the revenue that comes into those leagues in the National League because of Wrexham and other clubs trying to do similar, Notts County as another example, it's become a very, very competitive league and probably the most difficult league to get out of at the National League level. So there's a demand there from the fans. So that's the I suppose that's the nuts to it, and we need the detail, don't we? That's the thing.
Yeah. Anyone who follows us on Twitter, by the way, I'm sure you might have seen this video, but there's just a great little video of our new signing Tonali, who compares himself to Gattuso. Yeah. Some of you will have seen. If you haven't seen it, I've just retweeted Richie Southern's tweet. Fantastic little montage. But we've signed a hell of a player there, by the way. But that hour has
certainly have.
I just want to add there, maybe I'm just showing me Scottish heritage here, but if Gateshead are getting 6 pence from this, let's say 10,000 people stream it, what do they get from that? 600 quid. You know, you better you get more with a bucket outside and asking the players now, the fans who go to watch it.
It's a good point, Stu. It is a good point.
If you want 3 words this week instead of trust the process, I'll give you big dog's cock. Because I think that's ridiculous. It's not fair that other people get benefits of Newcastle fans going to watch to help support. It's a sellout because the fans want to go and watch Newcastle. They want to help the local team, etc., etc. But why should a team in the Midlands benefit from Newcastle playing a friendly? It's wrong. Get the money in for the TV revenue. Take the costs out. Give Gateshead a fair share. Let Newcastle donate their split to Gateshead, and you'll get more people paying it. But to get 600 quid out of 10,000 stream, it's pathetic. It really is.
Yeah.
Anybody watching that doesn't understand Scottish stuff, that phrase that Stu used is another word for sausage.
Yes.
I tell you what, it'll be in Scunny Mag's little book come the new season. That's for certain. On that note,
3 words.
As Alan Partridge would say, on that bombshell, it's thanks to George, thanks to Mitch, thanks to Kevin, thanks to Alwaleed, thanks to Stu and Steve Hasty, thanks to you, thanks to the moderators. I'll be back 6 o'clock tomorrow night with Super Matt and Gibbo. I'm just going to go and recover from those 3 words. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Good lads. Good to see you.
Hush now, city kids, gather round for rubbing mints. Hush now, city kids. When it came to me after so long, I didn't have no choices in the streets where I was from. When I think about the pain, I didn't have no choices, I took what I had sworn. Hush now, city kids, gather round for rubbing mints. Hush now, city